there is some crazy news. Crazy news throughout the day, not just in terms of the rankings right now, but ultimately in terms of, hold on one sec, bringing in, remove that. In terms of Aaron Rodgers, the biggest impact of this week, he is going to be out because of COVID-19, unvaccinated. Thought he was vaccinated. I don't know what that BS was. The guy isn't playing this week. That's what it comes down to. We don't need to get into what else was going on. Should he have been vaccinated? Absolutely, he should have. He's the face of a franchise. But let's get into what should you do now if you had Aaron Rodgers. I personally have Aaron Rodgers in my main league. I have Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams. That's been fun with COVID-19. Let's talk about how you can replace this guy this week. My number one option to replace Aaron Rodgers would be Taysom Hill. 22% rostered. He's only 3% rostered entering today, but ultimately is now up to 22%. And I think he is my favorite option at this point to replace him. Hill averaged 21.6 fantasy points per game last year across his 4 starts. He was the QB6 in that span, behind only Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Pat Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Ryan Tannehill. Some pretty good company, certainly in those top 3 to be among. 21 points per game would also have him right in the top 8 QBs of this year. He also leads over the last 10 years all quarterbacks in fantasy points per dropback, 0.94. Elite efficiency, insane Konami upside. It's kind of like Jalen Hurts, just a bit more accuracy. Don't forget, this guy completed over 70% of his passes while starting. I know he gets the rub as just a running quarterback that occasionally makes it. This guy had 70% completion rate. Not bad at all. Yes, they were clearly designed like high percentage throws, but Sean Payton, who better to command the offense than him to design it around Taysom Hill? Granted, this guy is not guaranteed to be the starter yet. He did practice today, but Nick Underhill, one of our favorite beat writers out there, did say there was no clear indication of what the Saints QB plan is going to be this week. So we don't know quite yet what it is. Trevor Siemian took some reps with the ones. Taysom Hill apparently rotated throughout. We don't know yet. So it's not like a locked in Taysom Hill QB1 set and forget. But if he is the guy, if he gets endorsed as the starter, we know just how high this upside is. Never mind the fact that he's facing Atlanta, who he roasted for 28.8 and 27.9 fantasy points in the 2 games against them last year. He was the QB3 and QB8 in those 2 games. Across his 4 starts, QB3, QB13, QB8, QB11. Top 12, a QB1, and 3 of 4 starts, and just outside the radar. And that was an 18-point day where he fell out of it. Very high floor, enormous ceiling. You got the matchup. You got all that good stuff. So if you need an Aaron Rodgers replacement plan, this might be your top guy for it. Should he be gone, or you want a little bit of safety, I think one of the safest options this week to replace Aaron Rodgers would be Tua Tags. 45% rostered, so there's a decent chance he might already be taken for you. But if not, they have attempted, the Dolphins, 126 passes across their last 3 games since Tua returned. That's 42 attempts per game. That is massive volume. I believe that's the most in the NFL across these last 3 spans, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, we saw Tua get swallowed up against the Bills defense. You know, they pressure better than anybody, and that's where Tua has really struggled. 49% completion rate and 4 interceptions when facing pressure. But good news, the Texans are 3rd worst in pressure rate right now. They are prehistoric in Lovie Smith's tendencies here. So in a plus matchup, and we've seen 2 plus matchups in his last 3 games, Tua was the QB10 against Jacksonville, the number 1 QB against Atlanta with 4 touchdowns. I think we see another top 10 performance for Tua, certainly safer than Taysom Hill. And if he's out there, I'd probably have him on the roster right now. If we know Taysom's starting, he's still my preference, but I would have no problem with you going with Tua. And he also has great matchups in your fantasy playoffs should anything happen with Aaron Rodgers moving forward, a quality option. Should he not be out there, though? Let's give you a couple much more widely available guys, and then we'll get on into the rankings. But, of course, this is huge news again, this Aaron Rodgers replacement plan. I think Tyrod Taylor on the other side of that matchup could sneakily, at only 6% rostered, be one of the top QBs. I'm +7 on him in ECR this week. I have him right in my top 15 QBs. He had 24 fantasy points in week 1. He was on pace for 34 fantasy points in week 2. This offense was a glove-like fit for him with the Ravens. With the offensive coordinator, David Culley, coming from the Ravens. We also know Tyrod Taylor played under Greg Roman, who is obviously currently with the Ravens. They put in this like run-centric but all over the place play action pass attack. And Tyrod's been thriving. He completed 70.5% of his throws, 416 yards, and 3 touchdowns in a quarter and a half. Very solid stats there for Tyrod Taylor to start the year. 122.9 passer rating. More importantly, what we love about the guy for fantasy, rushing upside. He already had 56 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown on the season so far. And again, just a full game and a half. The guy has elite upside, really, truly. He was a QB 11 in week 1, was the QB 20 on just a half of action. And again, 34 points would have made him the QB 2 that week, should he have played it out at that insane efficiency that he was doing. Definitely a very solid place. Never mind the fact that Miami, since week 5, has allowed, on average, 339 passing yards, 2.5 touchdowns through the air per game, giving up the most points to quarterbacks since week 5. Over the course of the year, the third most points to QBs. A very solid matchup for a guy that has played at a very high level for fantasy purposes so far this year. You want to not risk him, though, coming off the IR? Okay. What about Mike White Lightning over there for the New York Jets? 405 passing yards in his first career start. Started off with 12 straight completions. Looked insanely good. Certainly better than Zach Wilson. Had this offense moving at a great rate. He's only 8% rostered right now. And 3 touchdowns, 405 yards. Now gets an Indy defense that's given up the 10th most points to signal callers. They are bottom 5 in PFF's coverage grades. You get a little bit of Thursday night football juice. Nobody hates that. I am a little bit nervous that this guy, there could get some pressure on in Indy. And I can't say I fully believe in this guy. I certainly have more faith in Tyrod. There is the risk that Tyrod might not be out there. And again, Taysom Hill. Both guys have some question marks for their Sunday availability, although Tyrod has been labeled day-to-day. He's taken first-team reps throughout practice. My guess is that he's out there, as is Taysom Hill. But if you don't want to wait it out, you want to just get some action in there and see what happens, I think Thursday night, you got a nice dice roll there in Mike White. And last but not least, why not talk about Jordan Love, the immediate replacement, the immediate fill-in for Aaron Rodgers? Only 7% rostered. You got the best possible matchup, or I guess second best. They're giving up the second most fantasy points per game. Kansas City is against the quarterback position. And then we got Jordan Love. He's got Davante Adams most likely back. Not official yet, but should be back this week. You got Aaron Jones out of the backfield, who we've seen do an insane Alvin Kamara impression whenever Davante Adams is out. So you got that nice weaponry around him, a good solid line to keep him upright. And there's a little bit of Konami upside here. 87th percentile burst score, according to Player Profiler. 75th percentile speed score with a 4.7, 4.40. The guy can run. You can definitely, you got the team run back there with the Mahomes. And yeah, the Chiefs haven't been anything elite this year. I don't know what's happened to them, but an awful Green Bay secondary since Jair Alexander went down. I imagine Pat Mahomes could and should get it cooking. And that is never a bad thing for your quarterback on the opposing side. So all 3 of these quarterbacks, I should note, Mike White Lightning, Jordan Love, and Tyrod Taylor are all on the road. Tua is at home. So again, I think the safest option of all of these guys, as is, I believe, Taysom Hill against Atlanta. I think they're at home as well. So keep that in mind, but ultimately that's not going to sway the decision. Those, again, just to summarize one more time, Taysom Hill first, then Tua. And Tua certainly the safest if you just want a floor. Net number 2, but most likely to be rostered already in your league. Number 3, I got Tyrod Taylor. Number 4, I got Mike White Lightning. And then number 5, I got Jordan Love at 7% rostered as the potential replacement plans for Aaron Rodgers. Let me know what your order is. As I said, I don't even have mine fully locked in yet. I got to figure this out. So if you have another guy, I know Mac Jones is out there in a lot of leagues. I prefer the 5 I've already talked about to him. Same idea with Baker Mayfield. No, thank you. But let me know what you guys think of the 5 options I've presented or any other replacement plans. Would love to know because I, again, have to make a decision, and I'd love any input that you guys have here. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.